Hey there, welcome back. Today we're talking about the future. And what I mean by that is simply some plans for 2023. This is the Great Outdoors Photography Podcast, episode 156 for January 1, 2023. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. This is the Great Outdoors Photography Podcast. I'm your host, Brent Bergherm, and I'm also doing a special video on this one as well. So if you are watching on YouTube, this is on my regular channel, if you want to see it on YouTube. If you're listening in your podcast player and you have the audio only, I would like to invite you, go ahead and consider looking this up on YouTube because you're going to be able to see the pictures of the items that we're going to talk about, because while I'm talking about the future, I'm really thinking about, I want to hone in pretty specifically on one topic that we're going to be looking at as the future unfolds here for 2023. As many of you know, we live on a farm now. We've been doing this for a little over 2 years, about 2.25 years now. And farm life is, how do I best put this? It is something that is everything we've expected and a whole lot more. And this has definitely been a great journey, and I'm just so much looking forward to what's ahead and how I can blend my photography with my farm life. That is pretty much I think that's going to be what 2023 is about, is blending, incorporating somehow my photography with my farm life. And the biggest way I'm going to do that, the largest set of plans I have for that, I acquired a few months ago, I acquired a macro lens. And so my thoughts are, I want to photograph some of the details of the landscape. The property we have is not something that I would say is hugely picturesque at the moment. While we've got 2 creeks that run through the place, we've got a lot to do to either make them feel more like their natural state or to dress it up otherwise. There's just a lot of work to be done. Well, one of those things that we're going to be working on this season is starting some cut flowers. And one thing I'm looking forward to is definitely cut flower sales, so that we can make some bouquets and do other sales with cut flowers. And so this is all about just getting started in that idea. This is a relatively new idea for us. When we first bought the property, we were thinking, hey, we're going to do lavender and we're going to do a food forest and all sorts of these other things. And as we have gone through the first couple of seasons, we've kind of thought, good ideas, but there's got to be something else that we can do that is more about us, more what we are interested in doing, something that feeds us, feeds our soul. And as far as I'm concerned anyway, this is about my side of the coin as it relates to the farm stuffs, the food forest, and all those other items. I totally leave that up to the wife. And so what that's going to end up being is I'm going to do flowers. And so when it comes to these flowers, I've been thinking, okay, what do I want to do? How do I want to approach this? I want to do something, yes, that I can have something that sells on the farm for sure, but also something that really just says, hey, Brent, this is something that I'm very interested in. Now, from the get-go of buying this place, I have planned on having a flower garden, but it was a little bit more about, I want to just do it for pictures. And now I'm blending that idea of saying, you know what, I'm not just going to do pictures. I'm also doing things. I'm going to do a variety. I'm going to do it with a little more planning so that I can sell these things too. That's going to be one of my big points, is I want to be able to sell the flowers and, of course, photograph the flowers. And then even further off in the distance, not just 2023, but I want to be able to utilize my large printer and then, of course, host some macro photography workshops. These are dreams I'm sharing with you. I'm kind of thinking out loud right now. So we'll just have to see those things come to pass when they come to pass. But those are just things. We're getting that ball rolling. We're pushing it down the path that we want to see ultimately come to fruition. So what I wanted to do today was just simply talk about, what are these things that we're going to be planting? What will we be doing with our initial items that we're going to be doing? I also want to just say, I bought small amounts of these seeds. I did not go overboard with these seeds. So I want to do little tests here and there. I'm going to collect some seeds, but then we're going to just do some tests, and we're going to use this first year as really just seeing what is involved. What does it really take for me, for us to do this work and to make this happen? All right, so we're going to start off here. All of these items come from rareseeds.com. That is the Baker Creek Heirloom Seeds Company. If I remember right, they're located in Missouri, and they just have a wide variety of these rare seeds. And the beautiful thing about these seeds, of course, they're heirlooms, so there's very little opportunity. In some of the things that you read, they talk about how they're going for, especially when you get their corn and things like that, they're going for non-GMO type items. Sometimes these plants, they're very difficult to control the way that agriculture has gone with especially corn and a few of these other items. But as far as everything else is concerned, yeah, they're going for the non-GMO stuff. And so they're really focusing in on some of these really awesome things like the domain suggests, rare seeds. All right, this first one is Amaranth, Hopi Red Dye. I wanted to do this one because, well, quite frankly, it's absolutely beautiful. It's going to be an amazing piece, amazing background element, amazing filler element for the bouquets that I'm planning on doing. And when it comes to the bouquets, I envision these items are going to be paired with lighter colored items, and they're going to be paired with the more, quote, traditional flower looking type items. But the amaranth is a long stem type item. I don't know how to better describe it. This is not my sweet spot, so forgive me. Those of you that are really into gardening and such, forgive me. But the plants reach, I'm just reading here from the website, the plants reach 4 to 6 feet and cut a most striking figure in the garden. And so these deep red flowers, they can be used as a natural dye. So that could be something really interesting. I'm not planning on getting into that at all this year, but that's just something to be thinking about. Whether you want to get into soap making or dyeing some fabrics, whatever the case is, lots of opportunities exist there. But of course, I'm thinking about the photographs. These plants reaching 4 to 6 feet, these are going to be huge. And so these fronds, I'll call them, I guess, where all these little colorful items are just exploding off of it. I envision these blowing in the wind and it's just going to be amazing. Just a sea of all this, these items moving through the frame. I envision getting some excellent macro, of course, filling the frame though with this color. That's going to be something that I envision happening with all these flowers, but in particular the amaranth with this red dye. All right, the next one that we're looking at doing is Bachelor's Button Fireworks. I just thought these were so cool when I saw these, in part because, of course, the 4th of July coming up, well, in 6 months or so of this recording, but 7 months. But anywho, with 4th of July coming, what we're going to be doing, of course, is wanting to celebrate a lot of patriotism, a lot of those types of ideas floating about, and to have some flowers that just speak to that red, white, and blue. Well, I thought that sounded really good. So I went and got a packet or two of these. Now, there's only 75 seeds in the packet, but again, I'm just starting a little bit. I just wanted to start out with something small, something that will get me started with this whole idea of raising flowers. And then, of course, photographing. When I photograph these, definitely thinking about looking at the macro ideas. As I click on this other picture that's on the website, there's just so many details, yet it's not like detail overload. So I'm looking forward to either setting some things up in the backgrounds and having a prominent flower in the foreground, maybe setting up a pattern where I could do like a flag-inspired pattern where we got some blue and then we have some red and white stripes. Doing something along those lines, I think, would make a lot of sense with this flower as it relates to the photos I would plan to shoot. It says it wants full sun, sprouts in 7 to 14 days, so that's all good. A lot of these are going to be the same ideal where it's full sun, similar sprouting. I wanted something that I wouldn't have a huge variety of the types of flowers that I'd be taking care of, and so they all fall within the same general idea, the same general time frame is how they come together. The next one, I'm really I can't wait until these start growing. Crimson clover. When I came across these, I was just like, I have to get these. These look so amazing. So they look like your standard clover, only they come across to me anyway a little bit larger. They say it's also known as Italian clover. They are a nitrogen-fixing legume, often grown for livestock feed or wildlife forage, yet pretty enough for the flower garden. So these are going to be certainly used as cut flowers, and they will be arranged with other flowers, as what I imagine, and other grasses, because we have some other things that are already growing. And one thing that we have growing is a corkscrew willow. Those things are amazing. So they have a vibrant yellowish orange stem, and then they get these little willow green leaves coming off of it. But then they just corkscrew all the way up, as they're the whole thing from the trunk to the twigs, stems, whatever. They just keep corkscrewing, and so I envision pairing those with these types of flowers too. But anyway, let's read a little more about the crimson clover. The flower heads are great bee forage. Can you imagine the photographs of the bees and the butterflies and the hummingbirds I'm going to be able to get too, because I'm going to be tracking those types of wildlife. Those are just going to be amazing. The pollinators, as the farmers call them, I just can't wait. This is going to be amazing. So it says planted thickly, it also makes a superior cover or green manure crop with its ability to smother out weeds. Oh, that was music to my ears when I read that. Smother out weeds and fix atmospheric nitrogen into the soil. Absolutely, this is what we need here. This lovely, versatile plant should be much more widely grown. I agree. Just from reading that, I can just, yes. So the minimum seed count in this bag, in this packet of $4 is 2,000 seeds. I was just like, yep, this is perfect. I really want this, and I want to grow a lot of this. I've got a little area out back where the upper pasture tumbles down a little bit, goes down this little hillside, and then goes through this little marshy area, and that's about a 6 to 8 foot drop. I envision these all over that area, at least, again, to start out with. We'll see how it goes. And then I'm going to be getting seeds, and I'll just expand it the next year and expand it the following year. And really looking forward to the crimson clover. Absolutely. That's just, I just can't wait. That one is one of the ones I'm really looking forward to. All right, the next one here is the Daisy Swan River Mix. So it's looks like a traditional daisy as it relates to the overall size and shape of the flower and the petals and all that kind of stuff. And it's got the yellow, very wonderfully vibrant yellow central portion of the flower. But on the Swan River Mix, you get some white daisies and you get some purple daisies. I think these are going to be really sweet as well because we have these variety of colors coming in. Of course, the pollinators are going to love these. I'm going to have a variety of colors with the bees, the variety of bees we're going to have. We're also surrounded, our property is largely surrounded, at least on two sides, by a nursery. So they have their things growing out in their fields. And so we're just going to basically piggyback onto them as it relates to what's going on with the pollinators and drawing in extra insects, extra birds. I think it's going to really do well for getting some photographs of these insects, especially the bees, hopefully for sure, some hummingbirds and butterflies, of course, as well. I'm very much looking forward to those as well. All right, with the Swan River Mix, it says soft tangles of lacy foliage and drifts of periwinkle blooms make this Australian wildflower a favorite in the cottage gardener landscape. So that just sounded, I'm so glad these people wrote this because I could not have come up with that, but it just sounds perfect. It sounds exactly like the thing I'm looking for when it comes to summer photography and blending those efforts, the farm efforts and my photography efforts. Really looking forward to all of this. It's going to be amazing. All right, so the plants grow to an average of 12 to 36 inches and about 1 to 1.5 feet wide. It's a long season bloomer. I love that kind of idea. So I'm going to get blooms from the early part of the season to the ending part of the season. Says it does good in containers or planted in the ground. Beautiful. Now, here's the thing I really want to think about, though. It says the ideal temperature is 70 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit. We get really hot here in the summer. So I might have to either provide some shade for these items, even though it wants 8 to 10 hours of sun. I might have to provide some shade for these items so they just don't cook off, or maybe they'll just cook off anyway, and I really can't grow these here. It does say it's good. Not here on this listing. I'm not seeing where it mentions the zone. We're in zone 7B, I think the wife said. Oh, there it says zones 9 through 11. So it may not be the greatest for our zone since we get so hot. But I figured I was going to try it anyway, even if it only blooms in the early season. I figured it was going to be a nice starter for what we have available for both the picture making opportunities and the flower sales opportunities. All right, with this next one, Echinacea purpurea. Oh man, I love the purple cone flower. That's what this Echinacea purpurea is. I've seen this around town, so there's a lot of other places that have this. Also in Idaho, where my folks live, I've seen a whole field of this, and it's just amazing. It's gorgeous. The biggest reason I wanted to get purple coneflower, or Echinacea purpurea, is because one of my first successful photographs of a flower, and this was a long time ago, at least I'm going to say 20 years ago, was of an Echinacea plant. And I just fell in love with it. It was just, you have the wonderfully soft petals. You've got the very prickly feeling central cone area, where the seeds are. All of it just, it's a beautiful contrast of textures, and it makes for some amazing photographs. And of course, the butterflies, the bees, they're all going to love it. And it just does a wonderful job in a photograph, I think. Now, this is also your standard Echinacea. They have a lot of varieties. So if you want to get different varieties of Echinacea, get on to rareseeds.com and take a look. Just type in Echinacea in the search, and you'll see 4 or 5 different Echinacea options come up. I chose to stick with the most common, as far as I'm concerned anyway, because just that connection of that first time I had a really awesome photograph where I took a little water spritzer, sprayed a little bit of a mist on the petals, and it just really came out so awesome. It was back in my film days, but still, it just had that connection. And I was like, you know what? I want to do that again. I want to have that connection again with what we're talking about here. So yes, Echinacea purpurea is on the list as well. And this one for $3, your minimum seed count is only 50. So again, it's just going to be a small area that I'm growing of these. I'm not going to do massive amounts, big old fields. We're going to start out small, but we're going to have a very good variety as well. So that's going to be pretty good too. Now these next ones I'm really interested in because I just love the pictures they have on the website. Globosa mixed gomphrena. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Also called globe amaranth, even though this looks nothing like the first amaranth we were talking about. Absolutely nothing like it. It looks more like the crimson clover as it relates to the shape. But even still, this is not as oblong. This is more of a globular, global type item. So round, spherical shape bud. Vibrant colors, a nice deep purple to a purpley magenta to a whitish color. So we have this mixed item going on as it relates to the colors that we're going to expect. And this will also do really well, they say, as a dried flower. So I'm really looking forward to the idea too, cutting some and letting them dry and seeing how the color behaves, seeing how I can make some photographs of dried flowers as well. With that macro lens that I purchased, I can do up to a 1.4x magnification, which means I'm going to get wicked close in on these things. And with being able to do the focus stacking, the opportunities are just astounding to me what's going to be able to happen with the photographs I'm making of these various flowers. Now, I'm also thinking, of course, how are these going to pair with other flowers when we're making bouquets? Well, that's going to be a whole nother experience. This is something that's completely out of my comfort zone, there's no way, if you had asked me 2 years ago, Brent, are you going to do flower arrangements and things like that? I'd have been like, are you crazy? I can't even say it. Are you stupid? Are you crazy? Whatever the case might be. I would have just been like, no, where did that come from? And here we are 2 years later, and I'm just very much looking forward to how this is going to be. So this coming August, that's our 3-year anniversary. That's when most of these flowers are going to be just going gangbusters. And hey, this is, yeah, totally awesome. I'm just really excited. Again, not only for the photography, but the farm aspects as well, and blending those two items together. We're about halfway done, so we have more to go. Let's keep on going. These next ones, Miss Jekyll Mix Love in a Mist. These pictures on the website, these flowers are so delicate. That's probably the word I'm looking for. There's so many details. They're so intricate. That's the other word. They are intricately delicate. I think that's probably the best way to put it. Reading from the description on the website here, the foliage is like filigree, and the star-like blooms are like smoky gems in mellow jewel tones of rose, sky blue, dark blue, and crystalline white. An old standard that is still among the very finest late spring flowering plants. I think it's that foliage is like filigree. That is what got me into this, because I was thinking again about the idea of doing focus stacking with these flowers, and this is a very complex piece of plant. It is going to have so many different things going and interchanging and going about and just doing all sorts of things. And if I'm really zooming in on those details and doing a macro level work, oh, this is going to bend my mind as it relates to making sure I have what I need to get the right composition, making sure that I am able to make that composition work with all of these just crazy, chaotic details. This is going to be a huge challenge. Now, on these pictures on the website, they make it look gorgeous. Of course, they've got a team of photographers working for them at Baker Creek, and yeah, there's a little bit of me that's a little bit jealous. That is true. But what I'm really looking forward to again is those macro type shots. These other type shots where, holding in the hands or in the baskets and things like that. I'm pretty sure we're going to get some of those because my wife has been doing some handmade baskets. So there's 5 or 6 that we have now. So as we are collecting these flowers, we're going to certainly have the handmade baskets that we're collecting them in. We'll get some pictures there that way, of course. But as it relates to what I'm really interested in with photography, we're going to get some fine details coming through. This is another good one where the value comes through. We're looking at 200 seeds for just $3. So we're going to have a good number of these coming up out of the ground here this summer. This next one actually isn't a flower, but I had to include it anyway in my purchase because I just couldn't believe how gorgeous this melon is. It's the Kajari melon. It says it's easy to grow, early, and so productive. The flavor is world class. Basically, this comes from India, and it was collected by, it says, Joseph Simcox. The fruit is a brilliant copper red and is striped in green and cream, making this an extremely unusual and beautiful melon. Now, these melons, as I click through the other pictures here, we can see it in relation to, someone holding it so we can see their hands. It's like a small to medium-sized cantaloupe. Certainly, cantaloupes can get quite a bit bigger than this. Honeydew gets a lot bigger than this. So these are a smaller type melon. But the internals look like a honeydew. It's a nice, brilliant green color. It looks very prolific with seed production, so I'm going to be able to collect some seeds and grow it year after year. So I'm very much looking forward to that. The melon just looks crazy. And having been to India twice, there's again that connection that just makes me, it just has that connection, I guess. There's just something there that makes it very interesting to me, not just because the design is amazing and the colors are amazing, but then, of course, that connection to India. The next one that we have is the Sahara Rudbeckia. These are some rich colors, very, very rich colors. Only 40 seeds for $4.50. So not going to get too many plants out of this. But what we're looking for is these gorgeous, just figuring it out but using these gorgeous colors. We've got these deep, I guess, coppery type tones, and then some brilliant yellow golden tones coming through. And this variety, it says they come an artful assortment of unusual colors with fluffy 2 to 3 inch semi-double and fully double blooms. This variety is highly sought after by floral designers. They complete an elegant garden design and are incredibly easy to grow. Yeah, this easy to grow sounds really good to me. That is exactly what I'm looking for sure. And ideal temperatures, it says 70 to 95 degrees. So that is the kind of thing too. When we get to the hotter parts of August, where we're in the neighborhood of 110 very frequently, yeah, these things might cook off. So we'll just have to see how hardy they are and exactly how they work in this area. But self sows freely. That's another thing I really like seeing about that. So ideally, I wouldn't have to worry about collecting seeds. It's just going to, what if I leave them there and I let them go, they're going to self sow. And I like, it couldn't be better. It's awesome. All right, the next one, tall double mix straw flower. I got this one because, again, of the variety of color, but just the explosion of color. These are very vibrant, and each flower is also multi-textured. So we have some that are really smooth in the center, and then they have the standard idea of the petals coming out, and some that have a little more detailed in the center, and a little more detailed items. They're not the stamen and whatnot, so they're just different types of petals is what it looks like. But anyway, what we just have this variety, and I'm really excited about this notion of variety. And then another variety overall as it relates to the texture, the size, everything of a flower. And so when it comes to making macro shots, I'm not gonna get bored. That's all there is to it. There's so much good looking stuff here. All right, stunning mix of red, pink, salmon, lemon, white, lilac, and more, it says. This Australian native plant was introduced to England in 1791, and many colors were developed by German horticulturalists, and it gives the guy's name, in the mid-19th century. So we have these colors coming through here that are, the benefit of this German fellow's work, and that's just, yeah, a lot of excellent items. Looking for full sun and ideal temperature, though, again, on the cooler side of the temperatures. This might be something where it cooks off a little too quickly here. So I admit for sure some of these might be mistakes. We'll just have to wait and see. There's 250 seeds in this $3.50 packet, so that'll be awfully nice to have. A little over, looks like maybe a little over a penny per seed on these, and they will certainly have many, many, many blossoms per penny. So that'll be great. All right, we have 3 or 4 left, is it? Let's take a look here. 3 left. All right, so the teddy bear sunflower. Baker Creek, they have a lot of different sunflowers. And I really liked this one. I wanted to go with this one because it's such a different looking sunflower. It's very puffy, very soft looking, quite unique. And I just thought that was going to be great. And it also says, I think this one, yes, the plant spacing, let's see, grows only to about 18 to 24 inches tall. A short sunflower? Are you kidding me? That is just weird. So the teddy bear, though, it's going to be full of wonderful detail, full of lots of amazing shots, macro shots, again, what I'm thinking of. Whether you focus on the center, you focus on the transitional area, the outer petals, the behind the bloom, the stem, the leaves, all of these different things are just coming in so detailed, and then lots of different opportunities are going to present themselves. And of course, then I also think about the seeds. There's going to be a lot of seeds coming through with these. Now, the heads here, the floral heads, the blooms, the blossoms, whatever, they are in the neighborhood of 3 to 6 inches. So they're not absolutely huge, but that's pretty good size. And of course, we had a bunch of chickens, so we'll be able to feed them some seeds. But even still, I'll be able to save those seeds, of course, and plant them the next year. And it's just bright, beautiful yellow. Everything is just going to be gorgeous with this one. I think these are going to be the centerpieces of some floral arrangements of these bouquets that I'm thinking about making, and they will command the attention, and then everything else will kind of, I envision it anyway, kind of float around it. These are going to be, because that's 6-inch blossom. That's huge. So they're going to they're going to be very much commanding the attention of the eye when you put those together. All right, another sunflower, the chocolate cherry. These are such a deep crimson reddish type tone. It When I look at this, I'm almost like, really? How can that be a sunflower? It's just not what we're used to. But so many brilliant contrasts of color. Excellent. Everything is going to be really exciting about this one. The petals range, from, it says, from a deep obsidian to rich chocolate and black cherry. And they burst from a deep onyx centers like a supernova. Absolutely, they do. As you look at the pictures, you also see there's a bit of a vibrant yellow at the base of every petal. I'm really looking forward to exploring those ideas in the macro sense, where they're coming from this obsidian center, where the seeds are. They have this explosion of color, and then they quickly translate on to the different color, whether it's that chocolate color, the black cherry color. There's just going to be it's going to be a new experience, and that's what I'm looking forward to here to in 2023, a new experience for sure. And the last flower, evening sunflower. This is going to be pretty amazing too. They say the 7-foot plants produce many flowers over a long season. Yeah, absolutely. Now they also have some where the sunflowers was like some giant Mongolian or something like that. Anyway, you can look it up if you're curious, where the heads get to be like 24 inches across. Those would be amazing. I didn't get any of those, but I wanted to focus on items that would be good for bouquets. Now, those giant ones I'll probably do in the future because it just sounds so awesome. But what we're going to be doing with the bouquets, I want these sunflowers to be primarily the focal point, the starting point of what you look at when you see these bouquets, and then you go to these other styles of flowers and whatever grasses and whatever else we put in there, of course, as well. But it's all about, yeah, let's get some variety of flowers going, and let's see what we can do with these items. It's fully an experiment. It's fully just trying to see what works and what doesn't work for us. And with these evening sunflowers, we have some great shades of burgundy, rust, bronze, bright yellow, and crimson. It says, with many of those blossoms being bicolored. That's going to be amazing. 7-foot tall plants produce many flowers. I already read that part. So this one only comes in 35 seeds for $3. That's a lot of money basically per seed, but the huge amount of seeds I'll be able to collect. Again, if it works out anyway and they do well, I'll collect these seeds and I'll just replant them the following year and just have it grow to be more and more and more. A few other things we'll be doing here at the farm are going to be some giant pumpkins. I'm not going to do this multi-1,000-pound style. I'm just going to do the type that get to be a couple 100 pounds. And then we'll continue on, of course, with the items that we've been doing, such as other pumpkins, and then, pickling cucumbers, dill, a little bit of strawberries. We're also going to focus a lot on berries. And so we're going to start in earnest our effort to get some berries going. We already have some raspberries and blackberries, way too many blackberries. I want to cut them all down. But the raspberries and some of the blackberries that we have looking really good, and they taste delicious. But we want to really get into some blueberries and some other berries as well. So those things will be coming through as the season transpires, and I'll be photographing some details of those different types of plants as well, because I just want to be able to get out there in the field with my camera and really feel like I'm producing some good work here, where I mix my work on the farm with my photography and at least do that to keep my photographic eye busy, to keep my photographic interests going. That is definitely what I need to be doing. So that'll be really good. I'm definitely looking forward to it. All right, it's time to think about wrapping this up, and we always like to leave you off with a couple of doses of inspiration to be thinking about. And the first one will come from Luke 12:27. It says, "Consider the lilies, how they grow. They neither toil nor spin. Yet I tell you, even Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these." I'd love something like that because it tells me how much interest the Creator has put into each of these little things, each of these little flowers. I've talked about the intricate designs, the multitude of colors, the potential chaos of the filigree of that one flower, the Miss Jekyll, I think it was, the vibrancy of some of the colors, and the being able to explore all of these things. And even Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these. So even with all the richest king of ancient Israel, even he wasn't as beautiful or ornamented, whatever we want to call it. Arrayed is what this English Standard Version is calling it, like one of these. And that's how I view the flowers. That's how I view nature. That's how I view the great outdoors. So much detail was knit into these amazing items that we're able to photograph. And being able to represent that detail, being able to honor that is a privilege. And I'm just thrilled to be able to do that and to partake in these things. All right, then from the book The Secret Garden, Francis Hodgson Burnett wrote, "Where you tend a rose, my lad, a thistle cannot grow." Well, we're not going to be doing roses, but how true that mentality is. Thistles and other things just grow like mad here on the farm, on our property. The dirt is extremely fertile and weeds abound. But when you tend your flowers, you tend your plants, then these other items, these weeds, these other items, they definitely cannot grow. And that works very well in the idea of life too. Whether you're thinking about your photography, whether you're thinking about your career, your family, when you pay attention to these things, then the thistles in those items, the metaphorical thistles, they're not going to be able to take hold. They're not going to be able to choke out the good items, the in this case, the rose, but the other items that are good in our life, that are good in our photography. But we have to tend to those things. We have to take care of them, and we have to nurture them. And that is certainly what we hope to be doing here with our photography. It's certainly what we hope to be able to be doing with really just everything that we want to tend. If it's important to us, we should be tending to it, and we should make sure we build a little hedge around it so the weeds, the thistles, cannot grow. All right, thank you so much for being here. If you're watching here on YouTube, of course, thank you for being here and watching here on YouTube. If you're in the audio land, awesome. That's where we usually are, and I certainly get that. So thank you, of course. And as we start this new year, I just want to encourage you, bring up the Facebook group, and go ahead, and if you wouldn't mind sharing something about a goal that you have, photographically speaking, a goal that you have for this year. I think it would be great to spend the first couple of weeks of the new year being inspired by others and being able to, I suppose we could say, holding each other accountable a little bit. When you put that out there, you're going to feel like, when it comes time to making sure that you achieve that goal and you're tempted to not achieve that goal, you're going to be tempted to just do something else, but you'll be like, well, but I put that out there. So as a sense of accountability, as a sense of inspiring others, just simply sharing and having a conversation, whatever motivates you for doing that, I just ask you to do that. I think that would be great. So what are you looking forward to do? Make a new post. If you want, certainly share an image that represents what your goal is, or simply just something for attention. That's great too. So nothing wrong with that. All right, we'll catch you in the next episode. Until then, happy shooting.